Okay, here we go. So let's practice naming branch chain alkenes. This is just another video like the one that was posted before this, but it's more practice with the same thing. So to find the longest chain, remember we're just going to look for the longest parent chain. Okay, so now that I've identified the longest parent chain, I'm going to number the chain. I could start with either of these two end carbons on the parent chain, but remember I want to start with the carbon that's going to put me closest to a group. I have 3 total groups here. And if I start counting with this carbon, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 before I get to a group. But if I start with this carbon, it's going to be 1, 2, 3 before I get to a group. I want my groups to have the smallest possible numbers, so I'm going to start with this carbon. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The good news is that's the longest possible chain that I'm going to ask you to do. So we found the longest chain. We numbered the chain. Now we need to name each of the groups. So in order to name the groups, reference your chart. And if I look at the number of carbons, that will tell me the name of the group. For example, this one has 1 carbon, so I know it's a methyl group. This one has 1 carbon, so it's also a methyl group. So I'm just going to write that on here. You don't have to. And this one has 2 carbons, so that makes it an ethyl group. Okay, I have named each group. Now I need to organize the groups alphabetically. E comes before M, so I know my ethyl groups are going to come first. What I should have done before I did this is name my parent ion, or my parent chain. Again, you can reference your chart. My parent chain has 10 carbons in it. Don't worry so much right now about the number of hydrogens. This is the formula for a straight chain alkane, but this isn't exactly that. Remember, these are branched. So the name for a 10 carbon chain is decane. So my parent chain is called decane. Then my groups. So I'm going to start with my ethyl group because E comes before M. I need to figure out which carbon my ethyl group is attached to, and in this case it's 5. So this molecule is going to start with 5 hyphen, the hyphens are important, 5 hyphen ethyl, then I'm going to put another hyphen to separate it from the methyl. Now this methyl group, there's 2 different methyl groups here, so I don't want to pretend like they're the same thing or pretend like they're on the same carbon. For whatever reason, a mistake that sometimes gets made here is people just say that both of the methyls are on the same carbon in the way that they name it. So anyways, here's what we're going to do. We have 2 different methyl groups. One of them is on 3, one of them is on 7. So that makes this 3, 7, and guess what? Another hyphen, methyl decane. There should not be a space right here. Do not leave a space there. So the name for this molecule is 5-ethyl 3,7-methyl decane. And this is the parent chain. These are the carbons. These are the groups that are attached to those carbons. So now let's work backwards from here. Let's practice drawing the chain from just the name. So if you have 5-ethyl 3,7-methyl decane. If you have this name, you can work backwards and draw that molecule. Let's see what that would look like. The first thing I would do, working backwards, is identify my parent chain. If it's decane, I know there are going to be 10 carbons in the parent chain. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 carbons in my parent chain. I also know that attached to the 5th carbon in the chain, and I can go ahead and number this either way when I'm doing this, because I haven't attached any groups yet, so it doesn't matter. On the 5th carbon in this chain, there should be an ethyl group attached to it. So if I go back and look at my chart, I know that ethyl groups are 2 carbons. So I'm going to my 5th carbon, and I'm going to attach 2 carbons to it in a group. You don't want to attach 1 carbon on one side and 1 carbon on the other side because that would be dimethyl, not ethyl. Ethyl is 2 carbons put together. So I've got my 5-ethyl done. Now I need to do 3,7-methyl. So 3, and it's methyl, so that means there's 1 carbon. So a carbon on my 3 carbon. And then I need to go to my 7 carbon and attach another methyl. So now I'm done, and this molecule is essentially the same as the one that we were working with before. It's just flipped upside down. So you should be able to go both ways at the end of this video. You should be able to go from the name to the molecule and from the molecule to the name. Good luck.